long-form content.
Without any restrictions from any cable or network provider, there's no telling how long it can be.
Is it affordable?
You have no idea.
What's he doing?
Found him here in the studio. Recent college graduate trying to start a podcast with his friends after debating the existence of God in women's sports.
How come I can't hear him?
Steven builds a spy house through the intergalactic satellite system. Also buy my merch with my special creator code.
How long before this becomes accessible?
It already has.
If you or someone you know is looking to start a podcast for business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. With hourly rates starting as low as $1.60 an hour, the Mitt TV grants access to state-of-the-art podcast studio, allowing you to record perfect audio, amazing video for your audience. Contact the Mitt TV today at mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com.
Shit stinks.
Good evening. This is June 5th of 2025. It is the Planning Commission Village of Romeo monthly meeting. I will call the meeting to order. President Poznansky, are you doing meeting minutes for us, or is that?
I am.
Okay.
Stand for the pledge.
Yes, pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we are at roll call, please.
Okay. Fowler,
Here.
Grandstaff is excused. Hale,
Here.
Hall is excused. Minton,
Here.
Bill Parker,
Here.
Justin Parker,
Present.
Mellon,
Here.
and Webb is excused. You have a quorum. You have a meeting.
Thank you. All right, item number 4, approval of the minutes from the May 1st, 2025 meeting. Anyone like to make a motion to approve the? I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the May 1st, 2025 meeting.
I'll second it.
Mellon,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, item number 5 is approval of the agenda.
So moved. Support. I thought we were going to hold off on nomination.
Surely, let's have one thing to discuss. I think the whole board feels postponing new item B until next month when we have a full board and just remain with the current seats.
Can we do that?
I'll accept that as an amendment.
I'll continue my support.
All right.
is there a table till next month?
Table, new business B, 11B.
Can we do that? If our bylaws say that we're supposed to do it. I agree with you about tabling it, but I don't know that we can.
If we agree and approve the agenda
Yeah,
with the recommendation that everyone continues in their seats, I don't know if that's an issue.
Because it's just being tabled until
Okay.
there's
Full board.
the full board here.
Okay.
Yes. All right, so the motion is to approve the agenda with the removing item 11B,
Just
or not removing, but tabling it until next month.
nominations.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, item number 6 is communications. We do have one letter of communication that was received from the Village of Romeo clerk that President Poznansky will read.
Do you have a copy of it somewhere?
I believe
was
it's in your
In
packet.
your packet.
I did not get that.
Looks like this.
I did not get that.
It is in regards to the application of the special land use from the applicant Dale Wells in regards to the location of 273 Chandler. Dear esteemed commissioners of the Village of Romeo Planning Commission, this letter concerns the above referenced special land use application that was tabled at the last meeting and will again be before you on June 2nd, 2025. Regretfully, I am unable to attend the meeting to discuss this matter in person. On Friday, May 2nd, 2025, I met with a handful of concerned residents to discuss the proposed plans for 273 Chandler. A number of issues and concerns were raised, and while I could not validate all of the claims made at this meeting, I left feeling concerned myself. The fact that we, the village, had so few answers concerning this property left me with more questions than answers. Because of this, I was prompted to watch the recording of the May 1st, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. The Village of Romeo Planning Commission meeting, May 1st, 2025, with the YouTube reference ID. In this video, Mr. Wells' own statement at times seemed to be substantiate the claims made by the concerned group on May 2nd. After speaking with the Village of Romeo's lead building inspector, Mike Bomarito, I decided to investigate the matter further. On Monday, May 5th, 2025, I made contact with the property owner and applicant, Mr. Dale Wells. During this brief phone call, I explained that I was not well versed on his case and was hoping to get up to speed to make sure he met the requirements of the village. It was during this call that I requested Mr. Wells grant a walkthrough of the property by Mr. Bomarito and myself. Mr. Wells happily obliged and offered to meet us at 273 Chandler around noon. Upon arrival, Mr. Wells walked Mr. Bomarito and myself through the entire building, known as the Gray House. He showed us the proposed plans as we discussed his vision. What surprised me was just how little was actually there in terms of overall structure. I was aware that the property, required quite a bit of work, but I did not realize the size, scope, and scale required to renovate this building until now. Simply put, a majority of the rooms and finished areas within the proposed plans are non-existent, and as such will require a considerable amount of construction to bring these plans to fruition. Per the plans by Deanna Associates, there are to be 4 finished floors. The first floor plan shows a guest suite as well as a large kitchen and bar. The second floor plan shows 5 guest suites, a manager's office, and a manager's suite. The third floor plan shows 3 guest suites and a seating area. The finished basement plan shows a bar, lounge, TV room, a wine cellar, and a game room. All guest suites, as well as the manager's suite, are to have en-suite bathrooms. On the first floor, the kitchen and bar area, nor the suite exists. The space where the suite is to exist is part of a large open room and will require a build-out. The kitchen and bar area is a wide open space. On the second floor, suites 2, 3, and 4 exist in that they are identifiable as rooms. Suite 5 has 2 walls that are studs only. Suite 6, the manager's office, and the manager's suite do not exist and is a large wide open space similar to the kitchen and bar area below. None of the proposed bathrooms on the second floor exist. On the third floor, the space is wide open and overlooks the second floor where the manager's office and manager's suite will be. Suites 7, 8, and 9 do not exist, nor do any bathrooms or seating area. The basement has a wine cellar, but aside from that, the other rooms will need to be built out. During my visit, I did not see any plumbing for any of the proposed ensuite bathrooms. I saw what I believe to be a temporary electrical, as there are lines ran across the ceilings of rooms throughout, and what is likely temporary outlets. Furthermore, well over 50% of the building is being rebuilt, and as such, the applicant must comply with current building codes. This will require Mr. Wells to build out every exterior wall in order to meet insulation requirements. This action will be akin to erecting a building inside a building. In order for a special land use application and review of standards to be considered by the Planning Commission, the property in question must first meet the special land uses section of the zoning district in which it resides. 273 Chandler resides within the R1 Single Family Residential District, and as such must comply with Division 46-3-2 of the Village of Romeo's Code of Ordinances. Section 46-153A 1-6 state, bed and breakfast establishments subject to the following. Number 1, the rooms utilized for lodging purposes shall be part of the primary residential use and shall not have been specifically constructed for rental purposes. Number 2, there shall be no separate cooking facilities used for the bed and breakfast rooms. Number 3, the residence shall be occupied at all times. Number 4, sufficient off-street parking has been provided to meet the requirements of the existing single-family structure as specified in Section 46-613, as well as 1 parking space per double occupied room. Number 5, signage shall comply with the requirements of Section 46-578. And number 6, adequate lavatory, bathing facilities, and kitchen facilities for the lodging rooms shall be provided as per the requirements of the County Health Department or other appropriate regulatory agencies. The application submitted by Mr. Wells does not meet Section 46-153A1, as the entire predication of the application is to build the property out of the specific purpose of existing as a bed and breakfast. Mr. Wells' own words at the Planning Commission meeting on May 1st, 2025, further verify this. On multiple occasions, Mr. Wells made the statements, plan to build or we will be building. Furthermore, the property does not satisfy section 46-153A3, as the property is not habitable, nor section 46-153A6, as no bathrooms exist outside of a bathroom in the hallway that connects the garage to the house. The property is not habitable. The property needs extensive work to be made habitable. Proper procedure would be for Mr. Wells to build out the property and obtain his certificate of occupancy prior to applying for a special land use. Asking for a SLU permit at this moment is not jumping a few steps, but literally leapfrogging an entire process. Administratively, this application should be pulled for the reasons cited. However, this issue has gone before you, the Planning Commission of the Village of Romeo, numerous times, and thus is yours to render a verdict on. I only ask that you take this report into consideration when casting your vote. Sincerely, Jamie Lucero, Clerk, Village of Romeo.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 7 is public comment. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak at the podium, now is your opportunity. I just ask that we reserve 3 minutes to allow time for anyone that would like to speak.
I will give a 30-second warning when it comes.
Thank you.
Sure, I don't think I'll need my warning. Richard Linnell, 2804 Orchard Lake Road, Suite 203, Kego Harbor, Michigan, 48320. I'm bringing this up now in the interest of some of the comments that are being made, and that is specifically that I would request on behalf of my client applicant, Dale Wells, for the special land use that his matter be tabled. We would like and request that we have the opportunity to appear before the entire Planning Commission.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Nathan Bartholomew, 137 Pleasant. I'm also a trustee for the village. My feelings are the same this month as they were last month. I think that this would be a great asset for our community. I talked to several business owners in town this past week, and they're standing there with their fingers crossed, hoping that this will go through, because you know that the groups that they bring will wander. They'll go into town for lunch and dinner and to shop, and I think it'll just help our community as a whole in all ways. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, Franco Felino, 253 Chandler Street. I live next to 273 Chandler Street, the gray house, just immediately to the south. It's clear to me and to the large majority of my neighbors that this commission has everything that it needs, all the information that it needs to deny the special land use request for the B&B at 273 Chandler Street. You've heard numerous opposing public comments last year, last month, and people are here as well tonight to support the opposition. You also have in your board packets 2 letters of opposition from our neighborhood, each of which detail exactly how this SLU request would violate numerous village ordinances, laws. A Macomb County judge also upheld the denial decision this board made on the topic last year. And now you have a letter from the village clerk read by President Poznansky that clearly outlines exactly how this SLU request does not comply with several B&B standards that our village requires. As far as tabling this topic goes, we've been fighting this since last year. Families have had to spend our evenings getting together, organizing, figuring out how we're going to oppose this topic for over a year. I ask that we make this decision tonight with the people who are present, and we can put this to sleep so we don't have to keep dwelling on it. And as far as businesses wanting this to pass, businesses come and go. Families are what make up Romeo. You have the families on Chandler Street saying we don't want this, the families on Church Street saying we don't want this. Not because it's our personal taste, it's clearly in violation of our ordinances. I certainly hope that it's clear to you that this SLU request should be tonight as well. Thank you.
Thank
Rob Wing from 260 Church Street, kitty corner to the Gray House. While it's been great that the Gray House looks much better than it ever did, which is good news, but that's where it ends. There's no place for a bed and breakfast where it is. First of all, everything that's been mentioned tonight, it's not even close to being where it should be. Assuming that ever happened, we don't want groups of different people coming in and just, whether they be partying, do this, do that, who really knows? We don't want to go there. And I think it's pretty clear that all the citizens and people that not only live close, but anywhere in the village of Romeo that we've chatted with, that really just don't want this, and I think it's very clear. So I think this should be the end, just wasting a lot of time, a lot of people's time in this kind of discussion, and again, it's clear, it should not happen.
Thank you.
Good evening. Andrea St. Laurent, 170 Pleasant Street. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here today in strong support of the proposed special land use for the bed and breakfast within the village of Romeo. Romeo is a uniquely charming and historic community, one of the few remaining villages in Romeo that has preserved so much of its architectural and cultural heritage. The proposed B&B is not just another lodging option. It represents an opportunity to share the beauty and history of Romeo with respectful visitors who seek out destinations like ours, specifically for our character and preservation. As a 25-year hospitality professional, I can share with confidence that guests who seek out B&Bs in historic villages are typically heritage travelers, couples, retirees, and families who value quiet culture and authenticity. They are not transient crowds. They are often repeat visitors who contribute positively to the local economy and uphold the peaceful atmosphere that we all treasure. I also want to directly address a concern that was brought up at the last meeting. In my profession, I receive specialized training twice a year from the American Hotel and Lodging Association in conjunction with the FBI in identifying, reporting, and helping prevent human trafficking. It's a serious concern in the broader hospitality industry. I want to assure this community that I live in that a small owner-operated bed and breakfast in a village setting is not the type of establishment flagged for such risks. The nature of trafficking and the need to maintain low profiles, lack of interaction, and physical structures of access and entrances at a B&B go against what traffickers are looking for. I would be more concerned to see a property of this size be broken into apartment rentals, which provides more open access and less touch points with clientele. I would be happy to provide education facts on this issue to anyone interested, and while I do not know Mr. Wells, if it would assist this board and the community in their comfort level, I would be happy to provide the educational information to him and his site managers. There was a lot of concerns brought up regarding the land use of the Abbey, with comments regarding parking, noise, transient crowds, the same concerns that we're hearing now today. And I think we can all agree that the Abbey has been nothing but a wonderful addition to our community, as this B&B would be. I also took the liberty of using some of my resources, such as Agency 360, Smith Travel Research, and the American Hotel and Lodging Association, to provide the demographics of guests at a bed and breakfast in a historic village such as ours. Typical age is 35 to 65 years old. Older guests above 65 are retirees traveling midweek. Income level is $60,000 to $150,000. Travel type is couples, solo travelers,
30
small
seconds.
groups, with interest in history and architecture. This is exactly type of focused growth our community needs, a love and honoring of our past while we grow with the future. We can all recognize that purposeful planned growth is required, and this proposal blends in well with our neighborhood and will be a support to our downtown community. I also urge this community and the board to look at what the alternatives are for this historic building and property if this is not allowed. Losing this property to disrepair or seeing it chopped into apartments is not what we need. Please work with Mr. Wells to make this happen and don't
Thank
allow
you,
this
Ms. St.
opportunity to
Laurent.
pass Romeo by.
Good evening, Kelly Stevens, 222 Prospect. I'm going to echo everything that Andrea has just stated, but I just wanted to remind this board that I did operate with my husband a B&B in the village for 12 years. We did have residents surrounding our building in the back and on the sides. Never once in 12 years did we have a complaint about what we were doing there. We had a very large parking lot, and at the minimum, you would probably see 3 to 4 cars in that parking lot. And to her point, the guests that are coming to stay in B&Bs, that's what they like to do. These are couples, these are higher-end visitors. They're coming to learn the history of your village. They're coming to spend dollars in your downtown, adding economic vitality to the main street. So just as one that has run this type of business in this village for 12 years, I fully support it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm thankful that we have the opportunity to discuss this. My name is Susan Parker, and well, 2 weeks ago we had a lot of company out of town for a big celebration, and boy, it sure would have been nice to have had the B&B, because there's nothing around Rochester, or you head, south. Be that as it may, when I first moved to Romeo in 1977, some of you may remember the Haven House and the condition that building was in, before it was purchased. It sat there and sat there and sat there for years, letting all the varmints get in it. I don't want to see this happen again, to that building. I think it's an historic building in the village, and that's what we're about. I think it will bring in people that will support the downtown. That's been one of the biggest issues over the last few years, is increasing the downtown traffic and getting more people in the town. Furthermore, I have concerns that if this is rejected, I would like to know what you think is going to happen. What are we going to do with this building, this property? Is it going to be torn down because the B&B is not acceptable? Will it become a rental? I don't think the neighbors are going to like that. Or will it be torn down and additional houses can be put on that property? I'm not so sure the neighbors would like that either. The people that are against it are the people that live right by this. I don't see anyone else from the village coming here to oppose this. Thank you for your time, and I hope you will seriously consider the remarks that have been made tonight by myself and other speakers. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Okay. All right, we will move on then. Item number 8 is our ex-officio report.
Nothing in this item.
All right, thank you. Item number 9 is the ZBA representative report.
Nothing to report at this time.
All right, thank you. Easy cheesy. All right, then we are on to item number 10, unfinished business A. It is the special land use application discussion and vote. This was tabled from the May 1st, 2025 meeting. It is for the 273 Chandler Street bed and breakfast. We had already got through the 8 standards previously, so this evening we'll be looking for a motion, and so that we may.
Mr. Wells has requested a tabling of it. I think out of sheer courtesy, we should do that. So therefore, I'd make a motion that we table this.
Mr. Bill Parker has made a motion to table this discussion. We would need a second.
No second?
I don't want to say.
It dies, there's no second.
That is correct. Without a second, it just, that, it dies in, yes. Anyone else?
His representative wants to speak, he's standing there, let him.
Is that the wish of the board?
Right? All right. Are there any board members here that would like to ask any further questions?
I do. One of the, in several of the discussions that we've had regarding this, one of the thoughts that came to me late last night was you got 9 units, 1 manager suite, and 1 closet. The only suite that has even the closest thing to a closet is suite 9. All the other units, there are no closets in there. And while I understand houses built back then did use armoires, I'm not sure a manager who's gonna live there 24/7 is gonna want a room without a closet. Our proposed plans, I'm sure they can be revised to put a closet in them. There again, that's just more construction. But construction's a given on this property. And my own thought on it is if you're gonna spend $300,000 to $500,000 renovating a building, kind of be nice to know what you're gonna do with it, whether it be a B&B, which is proposed, whether it be a large group home, which is what the Haven Farm was, which the lady was brought up. A large group home can have 20 residents, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. How many people would that mean? Well, depending on who's visiting and when they're visiting, you got 20 residents that could have more cars than the B&B. You could have 20 cars in there. Because they were gonna have to, with 20 residents, they're gonna have to have 3 to 4 vehicles to transport these residents. And that's what they are. They're not anything other than residents. They're not patients, they're residents. They will be residents of the village. We have group homes in the village as it is. Licensing and Regulatory Affairs says on a large group home, you can have up to 20 residents. Just a thought for the lady who asked what could come of this property. I don't know what would come with one closet, but 7,000 square foot building is a pretty good sized building that should have something done to it. So just my statement and my reflection to Mr. Wells is that, look at the plans again. I'm surprised his architect didn't already bring this up to him, because even a motel room has a closet in it. So, not that it can't be fixed, because right on the first page it says proposed, so. I just wanted to get that out there so that I tried to answer that lady's questions as to what could become of it. Could become a single family home, 7,000 square feet. I've been in bigger houses than that. I've been in 15,000 square foot houses with 3,000 square foot gatehouses. And 3 people lived in it. But is that somebody who's gonna move into Romeo on a hill? I don't know. So that's all I had to say on it, was just to try and spend a little time thought with them.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Did you want to address the issue about the concern with the closets?
Again, Richard Linnell on behalf of the applicant, Dale Wells. And I do appreciate the feedback, as does my client. But I'd go back to my request. My client, and I would strongly encourage the Planning Commission to consider this. My client, like any applicant, is to be afforded the opportunity to be heard and for a vote to take place in front of the entire Planning Commission. Not unlike suggested earlier this evening by member Justin Parker. And so the idea that my client would be compelled to have his matter voted upon by less than the entire Planning Commission, I'd reconsider.
Just argue I haven't made any statement this evening in regards to that at all. Thank you.
You're talking about you didn't want to vote on something because we didn't have a full board here. He's requesting the same thing.
Oh, in regards to the nominations of the board members for seats, if they're not here, they can't accept. So that was my stance on that, but I won't argue that.
Hence, the whole Planning Commission. This is important to my client. It's already been mentioned, the amount of effort that's been put in. And while I can certainly appreciate there are people in opposition, quite honestly, they're not the applicant. The applicant deserves due process and deserves the rights of any applicant, and that is to be heard by the entire Planning Commission and voted on by the entire Planning Commission.
So if the board never had a full seat, you would prefer for it not to be voted on?
Well, I presume at some point there will be a full board, but until such time, yes, I want to be very clear. My client is entitled to the full Planning Commission. If at some point my client chooses, because if there's, for whatever particular reason, to seek a vote before a less than full Planning Commission, that is also his right. But the idea that the Planning Commission would compel him to have his matter voted upon by less than the entire Planning Commission is unacceptable and would be to truncate his rights as an applicant.
Janine?
I guess
that's a matter of opinion.
that is a matter of opinion, because there are rarely months where there are 9 board members here. So if you're saying that if next month we only have 6 or 7 members here, where you want to keep pushing that up, I guess what I'm missing in the whole picture is the concerns that have been asked of Mr. Wells regarding the build-outs of these units, addressing that item number 1 on those, where we're saying they're constructing them for lot. Going back to our clerk's letter, where he addresses those concerns. Tabling it from month to month, but that item has not been addressed by your client. I guess that's what I'm looking for. When does that ever come to us with the, yes, we have answered that question number 1. I know there was something we received last month. There was a narrative that was written up saying that that item was addressed, and I think the planner had it in her recommendation. She quoted the client's comment of addressing item number 1, but it didn't, the answer that was in that didn't match with what the question was. Though I have personally have yet to get that. I've asked for it for a year, for that, addressing that these units are not being constructed for rental purposes, that these 10 units, and I've asked it of the village, I've contacted officials within, I've spoken with other members, and I have yet to get a straight answer out of, is that not, we're constructing these, it says right on the front of the blueprints, bed and breakfast. That's my concern. There are other members here that may feel differently. I am not opposed to a bed and breakfast in this village. I don't have a problem with them. I am concerned when it's a structure that is not functioning as a single-family home in an R1 residential, which it's not. It's not currently functioning as anything. It's just a vacant building. And then we're saying, yeah, we're gonna fix it up and make it a bed and breakfast, but we're doing this so it can be a bed and breakfast. That's my concern. We're constructing it so it can be a bed and breakfast. We're not constructing it as an R1 residential home. I guess that's, and I think what Mr. Mellon brought up is the very a valid point about, again, with you're looking at, there's no closets on there. That's building code. You have to have a closet for every bedroom. You're not in an egress, right? That's just building code. So if we're not looking at those kind of things and saying, well, let's just approve this now, but my concerns are not getting addressed either. I just feel like it just keeps getting postponed. Same thing, the questions that I have just keep getting postponed, and they're not being addressed. That's where I'm at with that, but I thank you for allowing me to,
If-
that's just where I'm at.
After
I'm
the
sorry.
public hearing last month, we did vote on the standards. All standards were not met, and that is a requirement, that all standards must be met to move forward. So at that point, I don't think it even warranted any type of vote, because the standards weren't met. We were short Mr. Bill Parker last month, when you guys strategically decided to try to table. Fine. Mr. Parker's here, Bill Parker, we can hear him. Carl Webb, Bill Grandstaff, and Lisa Hall were all here. We all heard from them last month. I don't see any reason to table. We know where they stand.
If I was here, I would have voted for it. Let's not get ourselves. Let's talk about the history of this thing. It was built about 1885, about 140 years ago as a single-family residence by a fairly wealthy man. Apparently ran into some hard times, and the place damn near burned down. It was rebuilt with a different look to it. It was built with a different look to it after the first major fire. It became a girls' school and was a girls' school for many years. It was a group home for many, many years, and you know that, Richard. You've lived here. Nick used to live here. I mean, that thing was the Haven Farm. And if they do decide to go with a group home, you have nothing to say about it. That's the state. That's been tried from other local communities that have argued about having a group home. And the state takes over, kid. You have nothing to say about it. So you might think twice about what you want to happen in that property. After it became a group home, it became a repair garage, and everybody knew it. If you moved into that neighborhood in the last 5 years, you knew there was a repair garage going on there. The village hauled the guy into court all the time. And if you think that's a lie, you can call Mr. Clark and ask him how many times he had Mr. Oskowski in court over his repair garage. There was even a London bus out there at one point. Okay? So we've had a girls' school, we've had a group home, and we've had a repair garage. And the thing was a mess. I think Dale made a major mistake a few years ago, and he should have torn the damn thing down to begin with. Period. Well, you should have brought in some other engineers and gotten
Let's keep the
smart
discussion
about it.
between the board.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
All
between
right.
the board. This isn't attacking the audience right now.
So in my view, he made a mistake in not tearing it down, okay? And maybe that's what should happen with it. And then you can build maybe 5 or 6 other homes on that property, and it's big enough for that. You're getting down to what can realistically be done with it. Now, Steve said, well, a couple, $300,000. You can't touch the inside of that place for $200,000 or $300,000. And the fact that it is an existing structure, we're not talking about building a B&B. We're talking about taking something that was built as a single-family residence and continuing its life, and Dale has more than demonstrated good faith in what you see out there. If he'd left it as a pile of crap, which is what it was when he took active ownership of it, I don't think we would have a hell of a lot of arguments here. If we had a specific, okay, I'll do this or else you can jerk my license, I think everybody in this room would say, well, we're better off than what we've got. Well, he went ahead and spent some pretty damn serious money. It's his money. It's none of my business how Dale spends his money. But you ought to think about what realistically is going to happen there. He's been trying to market it for a couple of years, and he hasn't been successful at it. I don't see any other economic reality for that place that is in any shape, manner, or form going to be a compliment to the village, except as a B&B. And it's my wife's, that lady, as you know, is my wife. You know, we would have gladly rented that place for our grandsons 2 weeks ago. And there is another, and she's wrong, there's another B&B locally, it's over in Lakeville. And I'm not sure how many rooms it's got, but it's apparently very successful and been used by people for wedding parties and what have you. I'm just saying it's there. Jamie is wrong, in my view, that his interpretation of quote-unquote, what's construction, well, that is a structure that will be remodeled as a B&B. And I got to believe that any legal authority would probably agree with that line of thought, and that the strict interpretation of what Mr. Lucro said is wrong. Now, I said, and I tried to get you to table it, I would still think that's the thing to do. They're here, they've requested that, to ask them to go forward. That's just unreasonable, period. Okay?
Thank you. I would go back to section 46-153A, item number 1. This is straight out of our Village of Romeo, our zoning ordinance. It's right out of, read it right out of the zoning ordinance book, where it says the rooms utilized for lodging purposes shall be part of the primary residential use, shall not have been specifically constructed for rental purposes. It doesn't say the entire building. It's not saying an addition built onto a building. The verbiage says the rooms utilized for lodging. That's,
Okay.
I think that's
They-
my interpretation
There
of that.
is a building there, there are rooms.
There is a building there, but
and
there
there's
are
the-
rooms that are not built out. There are,
The word, you're using the word built out when I'm using the word remodel.
that's a separate
Okay, there
issue.
are rooms that are not.
There are rooms that have framing on them.
Okay.
They're not framed in. That they, if, for anyone that has seen those on Zillow, the pictures of when the building was for sale, that was a couple of years ago, I believe, that you had it up for sale. I looked at those photos from the Zillow listing, and they have interior pictures of that. I haven't been in the house myself, but I looked at these pictures. The interior, there's walls, partial walls. There is no kitchen, there are no bathrooms. It's open for whoever wants to come in and finish it out as their own. But it's not remodeling. Remodeling is when I'm changing out my flooring and I'm painting the walls, I'm putting some different furniture and things in there. This isn't remodeling. This is, there is no flooring in there. Those walls have to be framed up. There's no plumbing in there. That's not, I'm a builder, I'm in construction. I know the difference between remodeling and building something out. This isn't remodeling. Remodeling is your finishes. This is major interior work that needs to be done on this structure. It is not habitable as it is. Someone cannot buy that tomorrow and move their family into that without putting some serious money into getting electrical and plumbing put in. Kitchens and bathrooms need to be installed. So we're looking at those plans. If you're putting that much into that, that is not just remodeling it. That goes back to where our standard says the rooms utilized for lodging. So that's how I interpret that. That does not to me say we're putting up another building. We're building a house to be a bed and breakfast. This says these rooms that you're going to accept money from your people that are coming in to rent, they're gonna give you money, they're gonna stay in those rooms. Those rooms don't exist as today, as we sit here tonight. Those rooms do not exist.
If I could just really quick bring us back to procedure, where we're at. A motion has been made. It did not get a second. It dies. In general, to continue to have discussion, if we're going to stick to Robert's rules, we need a motion with a second to continue with discussion.
Vice Chairperson Fowler, if I may.
Yes.
Could you just, so it's recorded, please?
My name's Karen Levere. I'm your planning consultant. The applicant has requested this to be tabled for a full planning commission. This is a request that, again, there possibly could be a split vote again. Last meeting, we didn't have a motion that went through because it kept being 4 and 4, 4 and 4. You guys have 3 and 3. Could be a situation like that again. So again, you might want to reconsider tabling this until you have a full planning commission.
Thank you. All right.
If I may, I would just echo the fact that it was a 4-4 vote. You now have a member who wasn't there who's already voiced their vote. Now, I would certainly acknowledge that you can't supplant his vote to add to the last vote. Everyone has to be voting together. But it would seem particularly unjust, excuse me, to compel the matter to be voted upon tonight when you've already heard that the one lone member that wasn't here would vote in favor of it. And of course, those of you who were in attendance last time know that it was 4-4. And so the idea that those that are in opposition might speak loudest in an attempt to have my client's matter denied simply at their whim or because that's their desire is completely unjust. I would also add, although I do not want this matter considered, I want to repeat myself again for the record, that the construction issue that was raised, or that you're raising, Ms. Fowler, was in fact addressed by your counsel at the last meeting. And I'm not your counsel. You shouldn't listen to what I have to say as far as legal opinion. You should check with your own counsel as to the definition of construction versus remodeling and construction as used in the draft. I understand you're taking a literal interpretation. It is my opinion that your counsel spoke on the record with a different interpretation than the literal interpretation that some members of the Planning Commission seem to be adopting. Again, that's not my position to counsel you on, but it was stated on the record last time your counsel was here.
Again, I would compel the board to make a motion to continue discussion.
I'll make a motion to table
I'll
till
second.
next month.
Discussion then. I will reference that while Bill Parker was in favor, there was no motion that carried to approve last month. None. There was a motion made, it didn't even get a second. The standards were not met. It should have never went to a vote.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I will confess to the fact that I had a specific conversation with the gentleman whom he refers to as your counsel. And he exactly said what this gentleman said, that there is a misinterpretation going on from Jamie, period.
But I'm gonna ask that you don't bring up what discussion you had with him, because then that's hearsay, right?
Okay.
We weren't privileged to that.
I'm a licensed building official, inspector. I look at it as remodeling, not new construction, because the roof is there, the walls are there, the foundation's there. All they're doing is finishing off the inside of a building. If you had a wide open loft space and you put something in it, is that new construction? Of course it's new being built. But the construction part of it is the footings, the walls, the roof, the windows, they're all there. I'm looking at it as remodeling along with Mr. Parker.
Well,
No.
As a professional,
Yes,
once you hit 50% or more,
gotta meet code.
is it still considered remodel? Or does it change? Because then you
I
have to
don't know
bring
that
up
there's
to
a percentage
complete.
on it.
There 100% is a percentage.
No, I mean,
You have
I'm
to
not
meet
sure
the
that
code once you go past 50%.
Yeah.
This thing's got to be
100%.
brought
And I
up
will-
to
and I will say
20.
the standard does not state construction.
Why don't we call the question?
It simply says specifically constructed for rental purposes. It doesn't talk about the construction of the building.
it's remodeled or.
It talks about the lodging rooms being constructed, assembled, put together. Not construction. Constructed. It's different.
We're not gonna agree on it. Why don't we vote on the motion?
Okay, we have a motion to table the special land use applicant's request until next meeting. There's been a second. Can we please have a roll call?
Hale,
Yes.
Bill Parker,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Minton,
No.
Justin Parker,
No.
Mellon.
Yes.
You have 4 yeses and 2 nos. That passes to table.
Thank you for your time this evening.
So if we don't have a full board next month, we'll table again.
All right, we are on to item number 11, new business. We have the fiscal year 25-26 meeting schedule. You have a copy of that schedule in your packet. First Thursday of each month unless otherwise noted. We do have those 3 months, July, December, and January because of the holidays.
What's the holiday in December that backs it up?
Thanks. No, it can't be Thanksgiving. Is it
Oh, look at that. I didn't see that one.
December 11th? That is kind of a, you got your calendar up?
The 4th is nothing. I just didn't know why it was backed up further. I totally understand July 4th, obviously.
Right,
it's
because
the-
July
the
4th,
day
and then
before.
January for New Year's.
It would fall on New Year's Day, but the December one I didn't understand.
Yeah, just say December 11th.
Oh.
Tree
that?
lighting.
Is it tree lighting? And I-
Tree lighting's always the first
Oh,
Thursday,
yes,
that's right.
it is.
Thank Cindy used to say.
Yeah, because then it was always, okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I'm just making you guys aware, the asterisk dates are dates that I would not be able to make because I have a client that meets the second Thursday of every month.
Oh, okay, so that pushes us.
So if we're doing that, can we move them to the 3rd? Is that okay?
What's that?
Can we move them to the 3rd?
I got a client that meets the third Thursday, or Thursday's a popular planning commission date.
Well,
But, I mean, I would still provide any reports and
Yeah.
stuff,
Right.
but I just would not be
can always read them
present.
ourselves, right?
Okay.
But then we don't have expert opinion.
Right, okay. All right, we need to vote on that, right? Yes? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2025-26 fiscal year meeting schedule.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Motion to adjourn?
motion to
Second.
adjourn.
Hold on. Okay.
We have a second? Yes, we do, yeah, okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.